Can you walk on water? It sounds like a stupid question. One might say only Jesus can walk on water. That's probably true. So, as the video we just watched, when people trying to walk on water, they fell into it, of course. But later, when we mix something with water, people can actually walk on it. Or even more, dancing, running, and doing other crazy stuffs. The matter in the video looks like liquid, but it can handle humans' weight like solid. So what's this? The name of this thing is oblique, which is the mixture of cornstarch and water. 90% of oblique is water. So if one says only Jesus can walk on water, walking on oblique can make you 90% of Jesus. Now, we know this is oblique, but why people can walk on oblique? It's just water mixed with cornstarch anyway. What makes it can magically handle 140 pounds weight? This question is closely related to our today's topic, viscoelasticity. But to understand this, first, we should take a review of physical state of matter. If someone asks me what fluid is, I will most likely use the definition I learned in grad school. A state of matter that flows and takes the form of the container it is in. And for viscous fluid, has no defined shape and flows irreversibly under the action of external forces. Similarly, a solid is a state of matter that will hold its shape and have a defined elastic response. Elastic solid has a defined shape and default under external forces. So all energy is obtained from external forces and restored when the force is removed. Now, even these definitions are perfectly sound, but objects don't quite fit into neither definition. When objects stretch rapidly, they become extremely stiff. Like what in the video, people can even walk on it, which make it look like solid. However, when stress applied slowly, it looks like viscous liquid, which we can also see from the video. When people slow down on oblique, they sink, like sinking to water. So, what is this material can be classified as? Fluid or solid? Material of this type are known as viscoelastic materials. That is, they display both viscous and elastic properties. That is not very hard to understand when we look into the word viscoelasticity. So, just think about it. You have a viscous liquid which default continuously under the influence of an applied stress. And then you also have an elastic solid, which default under an applied stress but soon reach a position of equilibrium, in which further deformation is. If the stress is removed, they recover their original shape. And if you combine them together, boom, you got viscoelasticity. Sounds interesting, right? Now, let's revisit our oblique. If you look it up online, YouTube or Google, you can find people use it doing so many cool stuff. Well, all of this due to its properties. Viscoelastic materials are part of a larger class of fluid known as non-Newtonian fluids. These are fluids whose viscosity changes with an applied shear force, how fast they are being stirred or pushed. So for the oblique, like we mentioned before, rapid stress makes it stiff like solid, and this type of material is called shear thickening. And on the other side, if rapid stress makes it like liquid with low viscosity, we call it shear thinning. But today, we won't discuss it too much about it. Let's take a look at of another viscoelastic material. Polymer, as everybody knows, is a very important material in our life. People can find polymer almost everywhere. your shoes, your clothing, or even in your food. But on the other side, polymer is also a typical viscoelastic material. Viscoelasticity of polymer plays a very important role when people trying to make or process polymer, because viscoelasticity largely affects polymer's properties. Viscoelastic property depend on temperature and experimental time scale. Today, we will pay more attention to temperature part and see how temperature work on viscoelasticity. To understand viscoelasticity, there are some topics we need to pay attention to. Creep and stress relaxation. In creep experiment, we fix the stress applied to material and measure the strain response change with time scale. As A part shows, when the stress is applied to material, here will be an instantaneous deformation. After that, the deformation increases with time. This part is called creep. Then, after the force, or say, the load is removed, the previous instantaneous response part also recovers instantaneously, which, at this point, called instantaneous recovery. Then, among the remaining deformation, some can recover, however, some cannot. The recoverable part is called retard recovery, and the non-recoverable part is called permanent deformation. One important concept in creep experiment is called creep compliance, represented by character J, which is strain divided by stress. The following graph shows the full creep experiment result of polymer, which is complicated and we will not go too deep today. But you can see that people split the graph into a couple different regions by the behavior of the creep compliance response. From different regions, the polymer's properties are very different. Similar with creep, stress relaxation is fixed strain and measure the stress change. As we can see from graph A and B, after forming a fixed strain, the stress starts decreasing along time scale, like relax with time. And one important physical concept of relaxation experiment is modulus. Here, we represent it by character G, which is stress over strain. And similarly, we have modular response with time. One might notice that creep experiment is equivalent with relaxation experiment. The message they deliver here are almost identical. Okay, before we talk about the temperature effect on polymer, let's have a break here and watch an interesting video. What is the information you get from the video? Now, I'm not gonna ask you a typical exam question like this. However, there are some very interesting information from the video, right? At least we know polymers' properties are largely affected by temperature. Among this, glass transition temperature Tg is one of the most important properties of polymer. The glass transition temperature Tg, do not confuse with the melting point temperature Tm, is the temperature range where a thermosetting polymer changes from a hard, rigid, or the glassy state to a more pliable, compliant, or rubbery state. You can see, in different temperature, the polymer's property can be very different. So, it's very important for people to study glass transition because sometimes people want a material working as soft and elastic rubber and sometimes as hard and stiff glass. So think about your car's tire. You don't want it to be brittle as glass, right? Now, let's take a look at the modular Ross temperature graph. We can find the glass plateau and the rubbery plateau in graph. TG is usually measured by using differential scan colorimetry. In reality, TG is not a discrete thermodynamic transition, but temperature range over which the mobility of the polymer chain increases significantly. One important application of temperature effect on viscoelasticity is tight temperature superposition. We know the polymer's property will change with temperature, and of course, including modulus. However, curves of modulus as a function of time do not change shape as the temperature is changed but appear only to shift left or right, which means the temperature only affects the curve's shift, but not the shape. This is a very important and useful tool to study polymers' property. So think about it. How long it will take to finish a stress relaxation experiment and getting the full data? Well, it depends. But sometimes it might take days or even months to finish getting data. However, with tight temperature superposition, we don't need to get the full curve. Since the temperature only changes the curve position, we can take a certain time window on different temperature and getting the relaxation data, and then do the shift and get a master curve. This is a very easy way and save time. Okay, we finished all the slides today. I know it's painful, so now let's take a break and enjoy the music.
Hey Ricky, I heard that you are good at a saxophone. Really?
Yeah, I'm very glad you can say that.
So do you want to show me today for
Yeah,
Thanksgiving?
Of course. Recently, I'm preparing for joining the Texas Tech wind band, so I prepare a little bit.
Okay, that's awesome. What's that?
I'm sorry, I just forgot one step because today is very cold. It's almost like 0 degrees Celsius. So you can see the reed here, the saxophone reed, is made of wood. It is a viscoelastic material. So when it's very cold, its mechanical behavior is becoming very rigid. It's not very good for playing saxophone. So I first need to warm it up.
Oh, you learned a lot in this class.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's okay now. I'm gonna play a song named "Going Home." It's originally by Kenny G. He's a very famous saxophone player. Let's get started.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Qi Li, and I hope you guys can enjoy the famous saxophone song named Going Home as shown in the previous video. That is not the complete version, but it's only part of it, but I still hope you guys can like it. This real-life example of saxophone reed shows how close the temperature effect of viscoelastic properties to our daily life. In music area, especially in symphony orchestra or wind band. This is a picture showing what is a wind band looks like. And in the wind band, a large amount of musical instruments performances are influenced by temperature. Like saxophone is in here. You can see this is a saxophone. And here are some other instruments like clarinet, oboe, flute, French horn, and other brass instruments. Except for the saxophone shown in the previous video and in this picture, other instruments like clarinet, like oboe, like even basson, or some percussion instruments like drum. For those instruments, some parts of the instruments are made of non-metal materials like reeds, saxophone reeds, clarinet reeds, or drum skin. The reed is showing on the right hand side and drum skin is on the left hand side. For those parts, show more obvious viscoelastic properties than metal, which means they are more sensitive to temperature variations. Comparing with metal, the difference of the temperature sensitivity can cause a great difference in sounds. Like saxophone reed, as the previous video says, temperature can affect its elasticity and other mechanical behaviors. With lower temperature, the reed shows less elasticity and become more rigid. The quality of saxophone sound is highly dependent on the saxophone fingering and also the airflow shows in this slide. For airflow, the two factors are very important. First is the reeds. You need to control you need to have a good reeds, and also the mouth control is for yourself. As a former saxophone player in the wind ensemble, since during my during my undergrads, since we were not very professional, maybe it is very clear to feel that the harmony during summertime can be very different with that during winter time. It is more interesting to tell you another story that when our wind band did our 5th anniversary concert in the winter of 2012, like this picture shows, the sound during rehearsal was very different with formal performances, as the videographer said. This is just because the air conditioner in the music hall has very different temperatures between normal time and a formal performance. By the way, from this picture of our 5th anniversary concert, can anyone find me in the photo based on the previous video? Please make a comment underneath the video. Okay, let's back to the topic. Some professional musicians like Kenny G in saxophone or Maxim Morvica on the piano. Kenny G is on the left hand side, Maxim is on the right hand side. Or they all need to consider those details like temperature, like warm up, and also air conditioning to guarantee a best quality performance. For those things I talk about, explain why those musicians prefer to come to the performance stage much more earlier than necessary. It is not just because they are trained to be punctual, because they are professional. More importantly, it is because they want to do warm-ups, much more warm-ups, for both themselves and also their instruments to make our audience enjoy their show. After showing you guys some example of viscoelasticity's application in music area, next I will show you its application in sports area. First, please enjoy one of my experience on running track. Hi, Sijie, how are you doing?
Hi, Ricky. I'm doing good. Just a lot of paper to read. So how are you doing?
You know how I am. Fantastic. I just went to the newly released movie last night, The Fantastic Beasts.
Hey, I always want to watch this movie. So, do you like it?
Yeah, I like it very much. Especially, I just found there's a lot of viscoelasticity part stuff inside.
Oh, really? You are such a good student. Dr. McKenna will be very proud of you.
It's good for you to say that. Actually, there are also a lot of normal stuff inside as well. For example, like the British accent,
Okay.
the very funny bits, and also the Johnny Depp just came out from nowhere at the end of the movie.
So, where is the viscoelasticity part?
Yeah, there's a lot of little details about viscoelasticity. I can show you one. One is about the mother trying to snap the little girl's wound, but she took a lot of effort to actually finish snap it. The reason is because the wood is a viscoelasticity material, and the elasticity part of it just make it stick together. Don't want to be snapped easily.
Okay. You are so hopeless.
Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot a very important thing. Do you have like 30 minutes of waiting time?
Sure. So, what do you have?
I want to show you something because I found a very good idea of how to show off myself. Let's go to the
Okay.
tracks. Hi, this is a famous Texas Tech running track, and today I want to show you is about a mile running. I want to show you first the previous world record is around 5 minutes. So
Okay.
you can help me to do a referee and a witness today.
So,
With the time.
you're gonna challenge him?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good luck.
Count to 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
What's the result?
5 minutes.
It's very close to world record, right?
Yeah, you are amazing.
Let me show you why. It feels so exciting to be able to challenge the world record of the mile run, correct? Yeah. However, I would like to clarify that the world record I'm talking about here is not the current mile run world record. It is a world record in 1861 by Mr. Heaviside in Dublin. The result is 4 minutes and 55 seconds by him. Is recorded in Wikipedia on the left hand side. Another fact I need to emphasize is the current world record has already been improved a lot to 3 minutes and 43 seconds in Italy by a Morocco runner. You can tell the result has been improved for over 1 minute, even over 200 years, right? It is not fair actually to compare my result with an 1861 result, since the world has changed really a lot during almost 200 years, but it still feels very good, right? Okay. If we dig into this question carefully, this brings us some thoughts that why the record can be improved by over 30% for the past years. It is true that the diet and the training strategies improved greatly in the past like almost 200 years. However, another fact which is also important is that the improvements in running shoes and running tracks. From these two pictures, we can tell the difference of shoes and the tracks between now and old times. Like you can see from on the left picture is old times. You can see the tracks very bumpy, and the shoes seems very simple and very like not good enough, right? However, on the right hand side is a modern track and modern shoes. Yes, you can tell the great difference between them. It is known to all that when we are running, the reactive force from the ground is a main source to go forward. For running shoes, new technologies like rubber productions, more like advanced rubber productions and air cushions can greatly improve the friction force and force to go forward from ground. Those improvements are all about viscoelasticity. Like rubber and air cushion from the shoe sole are all viscoelastic materials. They can all deform and store energy when you compress them and release energy efficiently afterwards. Moreover, the comfortness and protection they brought for the runner's ankle, knees, and even the whole leg can greatly improve their performance, especially for the long distance running. Like on the right hand side, I conclude in this way: the advanced rubber and air cushion can give us more power and more protection. Okay, in terms of the running tracks, let's go back a little bit to this slide. In old times, tracks are made of asphalt or even worse. Like you can tell here, it's very bumpy. It cannot even be asphalt, right? However, in recent running competitions, the synthetic rubber tracks are all made of rubbers, plastics, and other fillers, combining them together. With a similar mechanism talked previously, this kind of running track can greatly help runners and improve their performances. And this is why viscoelasticity is important in running events. I took the advantage of modern technologies and experienced a moment of being a speed demon, right? Okay. Then another question I can propose. Does temperature effect also important in running? I will tell you here, the answer is true, the big true. Let me show you the next slide. Yeah. In outdoor tracks, wind and temperature are important factors to affect the performances. When temperature is low, running shoes and running tracks are not on your side, so you cannot perform very well. Also, your body is not perform efficiently during the cold weather as well. So here I did a little bit of research about the long distance running records. I found an interesting point. Over 90% of the long distance running records like 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, a mile run, or even marathon, those world records were set during summer or early autumn times, like from May to September. There are also some exceptions I circled out you may question about. Like here on the left hand side, the 200-meter men world record. And here's Australia, it's November. Here I want to mention that the November in South Hemisphere, Australia is in the South Hemisphere, is still summertime. And also Germany, this is exception, is October 1. However, for this Mexico in October stuff, because Mexico is around equator, is not far from equator, so the weather is not very cold during October time. From my point of perspective, this fact is enough to prove the temperature effect on outdoor running performances. I only talk about 200-meter men. Here's another 400-meter men result. And there is one exception, still Mexico in October. And then 800 meters, also October in Mexico. For the mile run, there's one exception is in 1931, it's very old, it's October in Paris. But I still think those expressions is explainable, and the temperature is very important in outdoor running, especially for the long distance. Except for running, many other sports are taking advantage of viscoelasticity knowledge as well. In fact, a lot of this researches on sports performance, like sports health or sports science, are more or less concerning viscoelasticity. One more example I want to mention in this video is about the famous and everyone liked American football. American football is famous for its safety protection compared with other kind of football like rugby, Australian rugby or English rugby. Like from this two picture you can tell it's all well equipped. Texas Cowboy versus the rugby. I want to say here, this is also closely linked to the viscoelasticity. Among all the protection equipments on the players, today I want to emphasize one thing is the helmet. Here, football helmet. Football helmets outside or external protection is usually outside is usually made of polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is a engineering polymer. Engineering polymer means it is very strong and very tough. This property can protect the player's head from direct impact because the polycarbonate can take a little bit of direct impact, and also after impact it can still retaining its shape because it's tough and strong. However, the internal protection or the inside of the football helmet, on the other hand, is made of very viscoelastic materials like foams. This can help absorb energy, impact energy, and then give the minimum damage to the player's head. And so you can tell how viscoelasticity is important in helmet. And also for its temperature effect, you can also tell during the winter time or during the summertime, the injury can also be different. You can, if you are interested in that, you can do some research afterwards. Okay. After my talking about these two examples of viscoelasticity in sports applications, you must also have some thoughts, right? So please leave a comment and we can discuss about it to make the video a more comprehensive one. And here, I want to give you a more hint. On the left hand side is a picture taken from a literature by Allen et al. In 2012. This literature talking about the golf ball and its viscoelasticity and its temperature effect. So can you provide a detailed analysis about this before reading the literature? Okay, this is what I want to leave a homework here, and please think about it. Yeah, if you cannot figure it out, Tiger Woods will laugh at you like the right hand side picture. So from the sports and the music area, we can all know that viscoelasticity is everywhere and its temperature effect is very, very important for us. So here, this is the last slide I want to show you, and I hope you guys can learn something from my slide, and please leave some comment for this video, and we will be very grateful.
Hi guys, so this is our 13 minutes video. It's a little bit short, but I hope you guys enjoying it and learn something.
And actually, this is a project for the viscoelasticity class instructed by Dr. McKenna in Texas Tech University. And I'm here to also need to thank our videographer Qian Tian for helping us during the 30 minutes video.
So if you have any idea, please just leave us in comment. You might get a little prize.